Welcome back friends. We will be discussing database design using ER model, right? This is our unit 2. As I mentioned you in, in the beginning of this course, right? This entire course will be divided into 5 units, right? And unit 1 we have seen the introduction of databases, database architecture, right? Introduction to relational model, all those things we have seen in unit 1. As part of Unit 2, we will be discussing database design. Designing a database is very important, friends. So, database design using ER model, we will be discussing as part of Unit 2, right? Right. So, what we are going to cover or what we are going to study as part of this unit is we will be studying ER modeling, right? What are the constraints, various types of constraints, what are the design issues, right? And what do you mean by a weak entity? What are the extended ER features, right? Then we will see a sample bank database, right? And the most important point in any database design is, suppose you have designed a database. Now, how do you say that this is a good design or bad design? A database design, any database design is said to be a good database. A database is said to be a good database if it follows at least 3 normal forms. What is normal form? There is a concept called as normalization. There is a concept called as normalization. So first initially we follow the ER model to get our basic database design. On that basic design we apply normalization. Normalization is nothing but set of rules which we have. We call them normal forms. So we have normal form 1, first normal form, second normal form, third, fourth and fifth, right? Now when we apply these normal forms, now application of normalization will refine your database, will improve your database design. Now a database design is said to be a good database design if it follows at least 3 normal forms, first, second and third normal form. So up to normalization means we see how we will learn how to design database. We will also learn how to normalize a database. Now as part of this particular unit, friends, we will come across so many important questions which are asked in many competitive exams also, right? And as far as your university examination is concerned, right, ER diagram is one very common question. How to draw an ER diagram, right? What are the symbols used in ER diagram? All those things we will see now. And how do you convert a ER diagram into a relational model? That will be discussed as part of this unit. And the third most important thing is normalization, right? Normalization is applied to improve the database design or to refine the database design. Normalization is applied, right friends? So design phase, now we will start our unit 2, design phases, right? Means what we do in order to design a database, right? What are the phases? The initial phase of database design is to characterize fully the data needs of the prospective database users. What do you understand by this statement? See, don't be panicked, right? Such a big statement. I'll explain you very simply, so in a simple manner. So design phases. So first we have to characterize fully the needs of all end users. Next, the designer chooses a data model and apply the concepts of chosen data model to develop the logical schema. A fully developed schema indicates the functional requirements of the enterprise, right? So friends, very simple. What we do in database design phases means step 1. Step 1, for example, if I want to design a database for a school, now what should I do? I should identify my end users. End users means the people who are going to use this school database. Maybe the principal, teacher, the librarian, right? Then maybe student, parent. So what I'll do is I will identify the end users, I'll go to them, I'll talk to each and every person. Suppose if I am talking to librarian, I will ask him, boss, what are your day-to-day activities? And if we create a database for you, what are you expecting from this database? Like that, step one, I will fully characterize the data. I will collect the data by interacting with collect, or you can say gather, from end users. Means I'll ask him what data will be involved, what is the data involved in it. Suppose if I speak to librarian says I need to issue the book, so I need to store the book details like book ID, who is the author of the book, how many volumes of that book are existing, right? What is the cost of that book, who is the publisher of that book. Like that, with book, for a book, what are the attributes of a book and what operations are being done in a library. Librarian issues a book, right? So when I issue a book, what will be there in the issue is also an entity. So when I issue a book, date of issue, date of return, right? Then the book was given to which member, whether it is student or teacher, right? So like that, with respect to issue a book, what will be done? Suppose if the book is not returned by the student within specified time, then what librarian will do? Maybe librarian will impose some fine. So how do you store that information related to fine, right? So all those things, whatever data is involved in any enterprise or in any organization, that complete information about the data will be collected as part of step 1. In step 2, I will identify, or I will select, I will choose an appropriate data model. Data models we have discussed in unit 1. We have entity relationship model, we have object based models, we have semi-structured models, we have a relational model, right? So the widely used one is ER model, entity relationship model. So what I do is, first I will speak to all end users, I will gather the information related to data that is involved in this database design. Then what I'll do is, I will apply ER model, I will apply ER model. I will apply ER model to design the schema. I will apply ER model to design the schema. So these are the typical design phases, my dear friends. Phase 1, phase 2. So as part of phase 1, we will interact, we will talk to every end user. Suppose if you are developing a database for a bank, you have to speak to bank manager, accountant, teller, customer, regional manager, zonal manager, other third party people who are associated with the bank. Like that, whoever is the end user, identify all end users, go to them, speak with end users, know what is the data involved in the database, make a record of all those things. And this process is the phase 1, wherein we try to identify what data is involved in this particular database. Then how do I combine all these data items? How do I create a logical structure? That is done as part of second phase, which is application of ER model for database design. So friends, this is design phase. We have 2 steps in it, right? So logical design and physical design. Again, we have 2 things, logical design and physical design. So logical design means the ER model, whatever we are designing, right? Deciding on the database schema that requires to find a good collection of schemas. So I collected data from librarian, I collected data from principal, I collected data from student, I collected information from the accountant, all those things. Now I will think, how do I put them together? For example, student information is there. Student information should be kept in a student table. Salaries information is there. It is to be kept in some salary table. Like that, how do I group this related data into one table? Then how many tables I'll get? What is the relationship between tables? All those things I should identify, which is called as my logical design. Physical design means deciding on the physical layout of the database. Means how do I really create it? Shall I use a Oracle database server, or shall I use a MySQL server, or shall I go with some object based databases like PostgRE, SQL, right? Fine. So like that I have many options. And how do I create tables, right? How much a table space is needed? Where do I create it, right? So all those things come under physical layout. Once the logical design is ready, then we convert that logical design into a real one, into a physical layout, right? Design phase. Now we will start our unit 2, design phases, right? Means what we do in order to design a database, right? What are the phases? The initial phase of database design is to characterize fully the data needs of the prospective database users. What do you understand by this statement?